everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video I will tell you how to make a baby blanket with a very beautiful pattern without using crochet hooks and knitting needles. I want to bring the example closer. It has a very beautiful pattern. Look, it is exactly the same as the baklava pattern example, but we will only make small differences at the ends. It is very enjoyable. Look, I want to show it on the back. Its texture is magnificent. It looks incredible. I don't think it reflects very much on the camera. This pattern really has a very enjoyable production. You don't want to let go of it. I think you can complete such a work in a day or even in half a day. I shared all the details with you step by step in the video. I hope it will be useful. Before moving on to our detailed recipe, I want to make a small request from you. I would be really happy if you can subscribe to our channel for free, like the video, and leave your comments. Let's move on to our recipe. I used Alize's puffy yarn for the blanket. We will not use crochet hooks and knitting needles. Look, there are ready-made loops on the long rope while working with this yarn. We will prepare our work by knitting with our fingers. Here I used 50 loops for the blanket. I obtained a blanket with this pattern measuring 85 centimeters by 85 centimeters using 50 stitches and 5 simak, and I obtained a baby blanket. You can prepare your product in the dimensions you want according to the project you will do. Now I will remove the label here. After removing it, I definitely shake it once so that the yarn is crushed and it will recover a little. Now look, I will start describing the model. If you want to make larger projects, I will also give stitch information here. Our model consists of multiples of 6. You will adjust your numbers as 6 plus 6 plus. You need to add plus 2 stitches at the end. Now look, let's show the structure of the yarn like this. When I opened the ball, a long rope came out like this. If this long rope does not come out, for example, if it starts with a loop like this, you can cut it with scissors from here and obtain this long rope. Now while working my blanket, I started by making loops on the chain. I definitely recommend that you start by making loops on the chain. When you do it this way, the end and the beginning look the same. If you do not start with a chain here, this point remains a little weaker. It is also useful to state this. Now look, I opened my ball. As I said, I used 5 balls. I got a measurement of 85 centimeters by 85 centimeters on 50 stitches. Now look here. This is my first stitch. This is my second stitch. I'm holding the second stitch. I'm passing it through the first stitch. Now this is the first stitch. My stitch coming from the next ball. Second stitch. I hold the second stitch and pass it through the first stitch. I pass it like this. Look, I am creating my chains here now to describe the model. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches have I prepared, plus 6 more. I will make 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 12, that is 6 plus 6. Also, it is necessary to add the last plus 2 stitches. I have prepared 12, 13, 14 stitches. You prepare your stitches and chains in the form of multiples of 6 in this way. Now we will remove our stitches from this chain. Now look here, when I pull the last chain, my stitch is already removed. I do not touch it at all. I take my next stitch coming from the ball and remove it from the back to the front through the next chain here. Look, now I will have removed my loops from the inside of the chain. I am holding the loop coming from the next ball and passing it from back to front through the chain, and look, I am removing my loops in a ready manner. Don't be afraid of it being removed. It is not a structure that can be removed. You can easily remove your loops. You can work with waste with it. You can prepare double, single bed covers, bed runners. It is completely up to your taste. You can easily do such a work in the dimensions you want. Now look, I am removing my loops. Sometimes the loops on the feathers get very puckered and distorted. I noticed that this was fixed after washing. After washing, when I put it in the dryer, the feathers became fluffier. Let me share this information with you about my experience. Of course, we do not wash it at high temperatures. We can definitely follow the washing instructions and wash it at low temperatures around 30. Now look at the last stitch here. I passed my stitch through the last chain and through the last chain. Now I have prepared my stitches here. I have prepared 6 plus 6 plus 2 stitches. In other words, I have 14 stitches in total. I had 50 stitches in my large blanket. Now we are starting to build our model here. Let's open our yarn right away. Here, look, we came from right to left. We will not turn the knitting with our yarn. We will go to the right while the yarn is on the left. We will have completed our knitting in the form of right to left, left to right. Look right now, this is the last stitch I took off. This is the stitch from the next ball. Now I'm knitting my first stitch straight. From back to front. Look at my second stitch here. I took the stitch that came from the ball and knitted the second stitch plain. I knitted 2 stitches plain. Look at the next 2 loops. First loop, second loop. I crossed the second loop over to the left, keeping it at the top. And my second loop became my first loop. I passed the loops through them in order. I'm careful to take the loops coming from the ball in order. I crossed 2 plain stitches to the left. Now I cross another 2 stitches to the right. First stitch, second stitch, first stitch on top and cross to the right. And I hold the loop coming from the ball. I pass the next loop through them, in that order. Here is an important tip. If you leave the next stitch in the ball and take another one, you will increase the stitch. This will confuse you. Or if you pass the stitch you have knitted here, you will decrease the stitch and ruin the model. It is useful to pay attention to this. Now look, 2 plain stitches. First cross to the left, then cross to the right. Now we knit 2 plain stitches again. Let's knit our 2 plain stitches. Let's be careful not to twist the stitches. Let it look neat. Now, after knitting 2 plain stitches, I will repeat the process exactly as in the beginning. First, I will cross to the left, just like the beginning. Then I'll cross to the right. Look, I crossed the next 2 stitches to the left. Now I'm crossing the 2 stitches here to the right. Let's open it like this. Look, there are 2 stitches left at the end. We knit these 2 stitches plainly. 1. Okay, look, we knitted 2 stitches plainly. Look, we have established the model ground. 2 plain first, cross to the left, then cross to the right, 2 plain left, then cross the other 2 stitches to the right. We have knitted the next 2 stitches plainly. Now we are starting another row. Look, the first stitch here, our yarn is on the left. Now we will go to the right. We knit the first stitch plain. We knitted 1 stitch plain. Now we cross the next 2 stitches to the right. Look, the direction is to the right. I cross to the right. And I knit the stitches in order. Look, I knitted 1 plain. I crossed 2 stitches. Now I knit the next 2 stitches plain. First flat and second flat. I knitted 2 stitches straight. Now I'm crossing these 2 stitches here. I'm looking at the bottom. I need to cross them to the left. Look, first stitch, second stitch. I'm crossing the first stitch to the left, holding it on top. I'm taking the yarn coming from the ball and passing it through them one by one. Look, I crossed. Now I'm going to cross the next 2 stitches again. I'm looking right now. I'm crossing the 12 stitches here to the right, right to the right, and passing the stitches through them in order. Look, then I knit 2 plain stitches and then cross it to the left. I cross the other 2 stitches after knitting them plain. After knitting 2 plain stitches, we have a cross and there is 1 stitch left at the end, just like the beginning. I knit this one plain as well. We have knitted the last stitch plain as well. Look, the pattern emerges immediately. It is exactly the same as the diamond pattern example. It's exactly the same process we did in the diamond pattern. The only difference here is that in the diamond pattern, these parts were crossed like this. We were crossing the middle parts to get a sharp end. This one doesn't have that. This one is more open, like a honeycomb, like a hexagon example. Look, the ends are more open. Now I'm going to continue. Here, look, the point I crossed to the left is no longer on the edge to be crossed. That's why I need to cross it to the right and the left to the right. Look, I need to close the diamond pattern. It's opened enough. Now I'm going to close it inwards. What am I doing for this? I knitted my first stitch straight in this order. I'm now crossing the next 2 stitches to the right. Look like this. I crossed. I knit the stitches in order. Now I knit 2 straight ropes in the middle and knit the middle loop straight. So we have now opened the diamond pattern. Now we are closing it. We have 2 plain in the middle. Now look, after knitting 2 plain, we will close the stitch that is going to the right to the left. Since we will close the diamond pattern, we will now take the stitch that is going to the right to the left. We will cross. I cross the first stitch, the second stitch to the left, and pass the stitches coming from the ball through them in order. Look now. Click crossed here, we will make another crossing after this cross. Look, the loop here was going to the left. Now we will change its direction to the right. I'm crossing to the right. Look, the next 2 loops after the crossing here, I am crossing them in the opposite direction. And I pass the loops through one by one. Now I knit 2 plain stitches in the middle, 1, 2 plain. Now look, we were closing the diamond here. We are now crossing the loop that went to the right to the left. If you have worked the diamond pattern, you will find this much easier. After the crossover, we knit the remaining stitch as in the beginning. Look, the pattern immediately began to reveal itself. Now look, am I taking the next stitch? I knit the first stitch plain. I knit another stitch plain again. I knitted 2 plain stitches. Now we were closing the diamond shape here. Look, there will be 2 crosses. We started with 2 plain stitches here. Look, move the next 2 stitches here to the left. I'm crossing. Look at the other 2 stitches in the row. I'm crossing them to the right. So we close the baklava. Look, we opened first and then closed now, by the way, after these 2 crosses. Now we have 2 knits in the middle, by the way. Look, it was open from one side. While closing, a new one is opened from this side, now in the middle. Right after the cross, we have 2 knits in the middle. We knitted 1 or 2 knits. Then look, there are 2 diagonal points right here. First I cross to the left. Look, the loop immediately curled. Let's prevent it from curling. I cross to the left, then to the right. Then there are 2 loops left, just like the beginning. We do the same thing at the beginning. I knit the last 2 loops straight. Now, if we have knitted them together up to this point, you will do the rest more easily. After removing the model, you can easily make it in the sizes you want in such a small sample. Look, 2 diamond patterns have formed. Now a new one is coming out of the middle. Now let's continue. Look, I knitted the first stitch straight here. I knitted the second stitch again. After knitting 2 stitches, now look, in the diamond pattern we were crossing this one here as well. Let's remember it was a sharper corner. Let me show you like this. This point was sharper, but in this model, this part will remain open. We will continue like this. After knitting 2 stitches, we are now crossing the stitch we crossed to the right to the left. Look. We cross to the left, we have a cross again. Now we cross to the left, to the right, that is. We return to the first row. Look, I'm crossing like this to the right. Look, we open this end, then a new pattern is formed in the middle. Now we have 2 straight lines here, 2 crosses, then 2 straight lines. Then 2 crosses come again. Look, we open one to the left and one to the right. I'm crossing over to the left. Another 2 stitches are crossed to the right. We have crossed one to the left and one to the right. Take a look. The pattern becomes more distinct. The last 2 stitches are straight like the beginning. We are knitting, but I want to show the stitches like this. Look, 2 patterns are complete here. A new pattern emerged from the middle. The edges continue in half. Now our job is easier. We will close it from here while opening it from here. But look, here the sharp points do not overlap. The knitting pattern repeats itself with the sharp points open. From now on, as I said, the same rows will repeat. Let's close the middle part right away so that it is clearer. Now I'm starting again for the new row. First I knit 1 plain. Now look, I crossed it to the right. Look, a new diamond pattern comes on it again. This one to the right immediately. I'm crossing 1 plain, 1 crosswise, 2 plain right in the middle. 1, 2. Now we're opening a new pattern. Then look, we're closing a crosswise pattern here. We cross to the left. Then another diagonal, this one to the right. Why? Because we are closing the pattern in the middle. Because look, we can't memorize the order by counting. According to the pattern actually flows according to the operation we do in the row below. Check the row below and see that after 2 crosses we have 2 straight lines. We do this with 2 straight lines. Then look, the pattern here should open to this side. We cross to the left, like in the beginning. Look, if this one is facing this way, this one should be facing this way too. The next stitch is coming from the ball immediately. I pass it through. At the end there is a loop like the beginning. I knit a loop. Now look here again, we have opened a new diamond pattern. This is exactly the same as the beginning. Now we will close this. These will close. Look, we opened this. We opened it from here too. They overlap. The patterns already emerge. A new pattern emerges from the middle. Look like this. We opened it like this. Now we will close it like we closed it here. Look like this. We will repeat the operations we did below in the same way. From now on, there is no need to renew the order. I think the model has been understood up to this stage. Look, the ends remain open. As I said, we open the diamond pattern, we close it, we open it, we close it. While one side opens, the other side is closed. And a very beautiful pattern emerges, so I don't think it is reflected here very much. Look, I want to show it in a big example like this. Let's look at the edges like this. Look, the edges are like this, half and half on the edges. Look, the patterns always follow themselves, one on top of the other. It is really easy and enjoyable. If we have done it together up to this stage, you will easily repeat it from now on. I hope it has been understood. Look, when we close the loops here, when our yarn is here, we start from this side. If our yarn is here, we start by closing from here. I have shared these details with you before, some may remember. See the chain technique at the beginning, first loop, second loop. I close the second loop by passing it through the first loop. By the way, questions may come as to how we join a second ball. There was a video where I shared the tricks. I will add the link of that video to the description section below. You can reach it by clicking the link from there. How do we pass a new ball? How do we tie the short ropes here? You can watch this in detail. Our recipe was like this. I wish ease to those who will do it. Don't forget to like our video, leave a comment and subscribe to our channel. Goodbye until we see you in the next video.